Hi everyone, this is Nadim and we are broadcasting live from CGTN here in Tibet Autonomous Region in southwest China. Now the live stream of today is from a very special place, a place that is known for its beauty, that is infamous for its danger, a place where brave men and women come to fulfill their dreams even at the expense of their own life. This place where we are at now does not need any introduction. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present you Mount Chomolungma in Tibet Autonomous Region in southwest China. Mount Chomolungma is known in the West as Mount Everest. It is, keep the camera on it while I talk. I'll give you a moment to take in all that beauty. What a beauty indeed. This is the highest mountain in the world and the tallest of only 14 mountains in the world over the 8,000 mark. All of them are in the Himalayan region. Part of it is in Tibet. Now, Mount Chomolungma towers at 8,848 meters. It is just of a grand scale. It leaves you breathless because of the altitude, but also it leaves you speechless because of its beauty. Just standing, you know it when you see it. Even though that this is a full mountain range, you just know it. When we were driving in the car, the moment that the bus stopped so we can take a few pictures on the road, we knew what we were looking at. We knew that this is exactly what we came here for, Mount Chomolungma. Now, that in the background is Mount Chomolungma. Where I am right now is the base camp of Mount Chomolungma. And the base camp is where people come, professional climbers as well as tourists and visitors. They come in preparation to either go further down the road to other camps or to just settle to see this beauty from this relatively safe. I'm saying relatively safe because there's still a great risk being at such a great altitude. Speaking of altitude, we are at, can you please show, at 5,200 meters above sea level. Now, being at such a great altitude has its perks, obviously the background, but at the same time, it has its downside, if you wish, which is altitude sickness. It's something that we're going to speak about later on, but I want to focus more on speaking about the base camp here. Now, the base camp is the first stop of all people who wish to come and see this natural beauty. As I said, professional climbers and at the same time amateurs and people who don't really usually go to the gym like myself. And so this is where most of people come. In 2016, 113,000 people visited this place standing at 5,200 meters above sea level to enjoy this beauty. And not only this beauty, I would like my camera operator and superwoman Yi Chong to just have a look around to see the beauty of Tibet here in southwest China, Tibet Autonomous Region in southwest China. They come here to experience not just this pristine nature, but at the same time, this is a bit of a challenge for one's personal endurance and how far one can go with challenging Mother Nature. Now, as I said, it was 113,000 people who came here in 2016, up from 59,000 in 2014. Now I'm skipping 2015 because 2015 was a special case because of the major earthquake that happened in Nepal, and that had major repercussions and obviously grand devastation in this region. So in 2015, only around 40,000 or 49,000 people came here, but then the number picked up in 2016 to 113,000. Now, this is the base camp at 5,200 meters. People can walk from here 1 kilometer into this base camp. The base camp is also known here, if you can show Yichong, it's the tent camp where we will be visiting in a while. They can walk in within 1 kilometer, but then after that, access is restricted because anything beyond that is unsafe and unsecure for those who are not well prepared. What happens is amateurs like me can go all the way here. Climbers and expeditions of climbing and mountaineering can go 3 kilometers in, so they can acclimatize before making their way into the advanced camp of Mount Chomolungma, which is at 6,400 meters above sea level. Now after that, from my own understanding, there are 2 more levels of base camps until you reach that peak, 8,848 meters. Now, one of the reasons why the base camp is so popular these days is because of the Chinese government, whether the central government or the local government in Tibet Autonomous Region, their effort to actually make this very harsh environment accessible to people. So one of the things that they've done is they've supplied the camp over there with electricity. That was in, I think, in 2015. Before that, a year before that, they've paved the way, all the way. So what we came from Shikadze or Rikadze, sorry, or Shikadze in English, which is the 2nd largest city in Tibet Autonomous Region after Lhasa. We came from there all the way here, around 5-ish, 6-hour ride by bus, and it was a highway. And this is the doing of the Chinese government because they're trying to make this place accessible and enjoyable by a lot of people, not just by mountaineers and professional trekkers. So obviously I am battling for breath, but you see a Tibetan family here, they're fine, they're happy, and this is because they spent their lifetime here trying to acclimatize and trying to get used to the harsh environment. So one of the major reasons is for the base camp to have such a high flow of tourism is because of having electricity, especially at night when it gets cold, and at the same time accessibility via road. And so there's a 900 kilometer highway from Lhasa. Lhasa is the provincial capital, all the way here, and we were just going through a just undulating hills of seamless ride on the bus to get here, and this is again one of the major reasons why this place welcomed 113,000 visitors in 2016 to climb Mount Chomolungma. Now, as you guys might know, this mountain is on the border between China and Nepal. This is the north face, and there's the south face, and both faces of the mountain are accessible to professional climbers with a climbing permit. For those like us, we stay here. And speaking about this camp welcoming people from all over the world, locals as well as foreigners, I'm going to welcome my colleague so we can tour a bit around this base camp. This is Changjia. Hi, Changjia.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Nadim.
How are you feeling?
A little dizzy. I'm still getting used to the altitude sickness.
High altitude. So we've been in Tibet Autonomous Region for what, 5 days now? 4 or 5 days?
4 days.
4 days. And it's been an uphill battle with trying to get our bodies to adapt to the atmospheric pressure, at the same time the low levels of oxygen in our body. Can you tell me a bit about your experience with altitude sickness?
I experienced a headache, stomach, and as I said, I'm a little dizzy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these are one of the. Are you taking any meds?
Yes, Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese
Yeah,
medicine.
I'm medicated as well, but I'm medicated by Western medicine. So the altitude sickness is the effects that high altitude has on one's body. Usually it's being out of breath, being dizzy, having headaches, vomiting, and I know that our camera woman on the first day, she's nodding, and at the same time having a hard time going to bed. I know that I have not had a good night's sleep ever since I got here. You just wake up every
4 hours, 2 or 4 hours.
For me, it's like every 2-3 hours I'm waking up. So it's a discontinued process. But how are you finding this place here?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Really, it's a unique experience for everyone, I think. It's hard to get here as the road and the government, we can see that the government has put a lot of efforts in the road.
I was just telling the audience about the undulating, like the hills and how the highway is just like going into different like turns and twists and turns and twists. And you would never imagine such an engineering feat can happen at such a great altitude. Again, I mean, we might look like, I mean, I'm barely, like I'm heavily breathing, but this is not easy to be here. Walking here is not easy, let alone working, you know, paving a road. This is not easy at all. And salute to all those workers, the Chinese workers who have done this, because this is amazing. You know, us, we're here, we're barely, you know, like walking sometimes is hard for us, and we're like hooked on oxygen all the time. We have oxygen tanks in our buses. But then for those who have spent days and nights trying to build that road to make it easy for us to get here, this is just salute for you guys.
Yes, so many young people sacrifice themselves.
Their time, not necessarily their lives, but their time and their efforts, their physical effort to actually allow us to access here seamlessly as we did. So one of the questions that I get a lot, you know, working as a journalist in China, especially when we're speaking about Mount Chomolungma, is it called Mount Chomolungma or Mount Everest? And, you know, in China we call it Mount Chomolungma.
Yes.
In the West, it is more known as Mount Everest. Do you have any idea, or, you know, being Chinese, do you know why there are two names for this?
I think Mount Chomolungma is from the Tibetan language.
Yeah.
And Everest is a name from the foreigners. So I think maybe they want to use a name that from the local people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I have a story to tell on this. So I forgot that we have this. So probably your voice is not being heard. So can you tell me again, what is your theory about having Mount Chomolungma and Mount Everest?
I think Mount Chomolungma is from the Tibetan language, and Everest is a name given by the foreigners. So we may more want to use the name from the local people.
Yeah. Well, this is true. So basically, the name Everest was given to Mount Chomolungma in the mid-19th century, when George Everest, a British person, and who had a post in India back during the 1800s or the 19th century, climbed that mountain, and this is how the name was given. However, Mount Chomolungma as a name existed 130 years before that. It was during the Qing dynasty, and there was the emperor Kangxi.
Yeah,
Kangxi. He ordered 3 Chinese surveyors to map this whole region and map this whole region to understand the topography of this place. And that was around 1715 and 1718, around that time. In 1721, the first document that documented Mount Chomolungma came into existence, and it was called the Kangxi Atlas. A few years later, in 1721, one of the French missionaries, Jean-Baptiste Régy, sent, and who also helped to map this place, he sent out the material back to France, and it was published in 1733 in a similar atlas or a similar geography book. It's called Le Nouvel Atlas de Chine, which is the new atlas book of China. And then a decade later, in 1833, another German geographer, Julius, I forgot his last name, but he also documented the name in the Tibetan language. And the thing is, it's more than just a name. You know, when we say Mount Chomolungma, it's more than just a name. It's a culture, because in the Tibetan language, even though for a lot of people, for mountaineers and for professional climbers, they see this as a challenge, because they see this as, you know, their way to challenge Mother. No, you can keep it, because I think the audience would like to enjoy more of this and more of the scenery. So if you can also, and I'll tell the legend behind this. So while a lot of foreigners could see this as a challenge for their endurance to conquer Mother Nature, Tibetans actually perceive it in a different perspective, which is they see Mount Chomolungma as a benevolent goddess. So for them, it's a she, and it's a protective she. So the story goes in, the legend goes in Tibetan culture that this whole place here, the whole Himalayas, used to be an ocean. And all the creatures and all the plants were living in harmony. They were living peacefully in a forest next to the ocean, until one day a mean, monstrous dragon with 5 heads came to wreak havoc in this ocean. And so what he did is the dragon was able to create these huge waves that were almost going to inundate the forest and kill all the animals and creatures and plants. And as the deluge was happening, 5 clouds came down from the sky, and they turned into five clouds came down from the sky, and then they turned into beautiful goddesses, the story goes. And then these 5 goddesses were able to defeat the dragon and then restore the safety and security of that place. Out of request from the creatures, they decided to stay and not go back to their heavenly residence. And this is how they turned themselves into mountains, and they asked the ocean to recede all the way back. And this is how we got the story of Mount Chomolungma, because Mount Chomolungma is one of those 5 goddesses that turned into mountains. And so as we see, the term is not only, it's not only related to the name of it, but it's also related to the cultural luggage that comes with it. And this is why it's for Chinese at least, it's Mount Chomolungma. So, so yeah, what do you think of the story? I mean, have you heard of it before, or?
I heard it before a little earlier, but not so detailed.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot today.
That's a bit of Googling. This is what comes up. Or by doing, yeah. Yeah.
And I think we should show the audience the clouds on the top of the mountain.
Right. Can we take that? Because the problem with this, because we're shooting with a phone, we might not be able to zoom. But this is a good thing. Can we just go back just to shoot the clouds? Because this time of the year is a good time for people to come and enjoy it, because it's a clear weather. You don't have a lot of clouds unless it's, you know, bad luck on one day. But in other times, so for example, for audience who wish to come to the base camp to look at Mount Chomolungma, the best times are usually from late April to early June, with the best time being in May, and then from late September to November, with the best time being in October. And the reason why is that it's because it's clear. You will see the summit, you will see that peak at 8,848 meters without any mist or any clouds shrouding it. Now, you can still come at any other times of the year, but then with other periods, for example, the monsoon period, which is the summer, in the summer, which is usually the high season, in the summer, you would see a lot of rain, and that beautiful scenery, you would not be able to see it. And this is usually in the summertime, so basically from June until September, because it's going to be rainy, and there's going to be the risk of flash floods, the risk of I want to say avalanches, but I'm not really sure, but flash floods, mudslides as well. And so it's not going to be optimal to come at that time. People can also come in January and February, but then only if they can handle really cold weather, because, you know, now the sun is scorching. The sun is pretty close, actually, just because we're so high. And I know that I'm going to be getting a tan. I know that you put some sunblock, right? I did not put a sunblock, so in a couple of days when I'm doing my next live stream, you will be seeing me burned, or sun-kissed, not burned. But at night, the temperatures drop really, really low.
Yeah, you see, we are wearing down jackets.
Yeah, yeah, because the problem is with, so there's perks. I like how you give me excuses for like to move to another topic, because you're speaking about down jackets, and I can speak now about the north face of Mount Chomolungma versus the south face. So one of the downsides of Mount Chomolungma from the north face is the fact that it's so windy. It's windy all year round, and this is why we're wearing jackets. While the wind is not really high right now, but it will be, especially as you climb higher. However, it's accessible. Now, from the other side of the border with Nepal, the south face is not as accessible as here, because I was reading that it takes 10 days to trek from the airport to the base camp, whereas here we're able to get to it within hours. However, so it's not as accessible, but it's also not as windy. However, there's a risk of ice falls from the south side, and this is why there are more fatalities from the south than in the north. However, there's also more people who manage to get to the top from the south than from here, and mostly that's because that the north face of Mount Chomolungma was open only recently in the years 2000 to trekkers and climbers. And so since the beginning, there has been 7,000 successful attempts to reach that peak, over 7,000, with around 282 deaths. So that means it's a mortality rate of 4%, but there's still a risk. This is why people even professional climbers need permits, special permits, to get them to such a great height. The story of how the Himalaya is and used to be an ocean, you could see it a lot in the items on sale actually here. So this is, as we said, this is the base camp. You can see a lot of tents. They offer free Wi-Fi as well. Well, Wi-Fi, I'm not sure if it's free, but I guess it's included if you're going to spend the night.
Yeah.
And do you know why some people choose to spend the night here?
I think this man chose the night here to have a look at the beautiful star night.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Starry Night. I've read about it. I've seen it. I haven't experienced it because we've only been here for a few hours. But they say that the night sky here is mesmerizing, and I guess people around here decide to stay for that
Yes.
reason. And so part of these businesses come from, people staying overnight, and part of it comes from selling all these trinkets and gadgets. Can you come and just see it? Just show it to our. With a Russian team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we can read some.
Oh yeah, you can go show them this. I wanted to show the fossils here though. I'm sorry, can you go back? sorry. So here you see a lot of fossils. Again, I'm not really sure. This could be authentic. This also could not be authentic. I'm not really sure. But people love to get these back home just because it shows that we've been here. This is what the legend said. It used to be an ocean, then the ocean receded. Now it's a lot of mountains, and so I think it's a great souvenir. I know that I am going to be doing a bit of shopping while encouraging local businesses here, because obviously we're not staying the night. But can you just tour around and just all right, so for those who just tuned in, we brought live on our platforms, Facebook, Weibo, YouTube, and Twitter. We're broadcasting live from the base camp of Mount Chomolungma here in Tibet Autonomous Region in southwest China. We are at an altitude of 5,200 meters above sea level, and to be honest, if I were not doing this live stream, I would be moaning and groaning and of the discomfort of being at such a high altitude. But I guess it's the adrenaline that is kicking in doing the live here at CGTN Digital. So we are going to be heading we are going to be interviewing actually someone who is in charge, responsible of the base camp, except we still don't know where to find him. So Changja,
He's in one of the tents, so let's go find him.
so he's in one of the tents. Let's go. I need to breathe a bit. It's really good. Can you show this, please? We're not doing any.
Advertisement.
We're not doing any advertisement for the. No, you have to look at me. We're not doing any advertisement here, but this is water mixed with glucose. The reason why I'm drinking sugar with water is because at such a high altitude, you need a lot of energy. And being at such a high altitude as well means that you're getting dehydrated quite easily.
Yes.
And so you need to keep yourself hydrated. Otherwise, the headache is going to come in knocking without excuse. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. You just don't want to just make it any worse than what it could already be. And this is why it's always good to have a lot of food, a lot of
water,
yeah,
and a lot of fruit and vegetables to keep you full of energy, and don't get so sick because of the high altitude.
Oh yeah, one of the things that they told us is one of the things. This is one of the anecdotes, is that do not get sick before you come to Tibet, because if you're going to be sick, your immune system is already going to be weakened, and at the high altitude, ni hao, at the high altitude, it's only going to make things worse. Obviously, you shouldn't be talking as much as we are, but we're taking one for the team. I wonder what these eggs are for. I've been seeing a lot of these eggs. I have absolutely no idea what these are. I can see the fossils here. But there's... Did you take any shots of these? Just like all these eggs. They look...
But
to me, yeah.
But they're stones.
Mm-hmm. You get it from the inside there. She's saying they're stones. Wait. 你会中文吗？不会。
English?
Eh? Some people are camera shy. Can we just get the yaks? I don't know if you can get them, but we have to like make a detour just to show you the yaks. One of the things that are interesting here is that you see a lot of yaks. This is a traditional animal here in Tibet, and you just see them everywhere. Yaks are bigger than cows, and they're very cherished, I think, because they're really intertwined with the Tibetan culture. You have a lot of products that come from yak. You have yak meat, you have yak yogurt, you have yak milk.
They taste very good.
Oh, and buttermilk.
Yeah.
No, but buttermilk is a different thing, right? Have you ever buttermilk?
Well, we have butter. They have yak butter.
But they also have buttermilk. No? Yichang. Buttermilk, is it made of yak's milk?
I don't really know.
Okay. But buttermilk is another delicacy here in Tibet. Don't get too close, because I don't think...
Not like us.
I cannot run. Yeah, we will not be able to run. And you can see their horns. We need to go to a tent, right? We just made a detour just so we would show you the yaks. You'll see them everywhere in Tibet. And they actually come in handy, because when farmers are working the land, they're using a lot of yaks to just help them to plow through the land before they plant the seeds. And we will try to find our guy so we can ask him a few questions about... Here he is. Ni hao, Gary. Here he is. We found our guy. Gary is responsible of the base camp here. He is from Tingri County. The base camp is in Tingri County here in Rakazi, which is the second largest city in Tibet Autonomous Region after Lhasa. So hello, Gary.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Can you introduce yourself
Okay.
to us and to the audience?
Yes. There is a 48 tent in the base camp of the Chomolungma.
Yeah.
So they just 48 tent just provide the accommodation and food and some souvenirs.
What kind of food?
Just the noodles and the momo and other things.
Okay.
Yes, and bread.
And when was this base initiated? When was it constructed?
They
Which
ju-
year?
Every year from the April to the October,
Oh,
just from here.
From April to
April
October.
to October, yes.
Okay.
Right.
So in other times the base camp would not.
No, because the winter is very cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just some of the tourists come in, just have a look at mountain Everest, mountain Chomolungma, and then back to the county of the Tingri.
How cold is it in winter?
I think it's maybe the low 40, like 40, 45.
45 degrees.
Yes, degrees.
Minus
In the winter,
zero.
in
Yeah,
the winter.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Minus
yeah, very
45
cold.
degrees.
Very cold.
Extremely cold.
Yeah, very cold.
Okay, and can you tell us a bit about the people who come here? Why do you think people come here? Visitors, foreigners, and locals. Why do you think they come to the base camp?
So you know that the mountain Chomolungma is here. So
Yeah.
they just want to have a look at the mountain Chomolungma. So they right here, just have right at the base camp of the Chomolungma. No, you know the first highest mountain is in the Tingri county.
Yeah.
So they want just come here, the base camp of Chomolungma. So I think last year we had there were 120,000 tourists coming here.
From China.
Came from China and
the world.
abroad. Yes, a lot of the tourists coming. So this year maybe the 180 80 tourists came more than last year.
Why do you think the number is going up?
Because over the said the first is the first mountains here, and another is some want to climb the mountain. So from April to the May, there is some the climb mountain you want to just here. This year about just 200 people from abroad, from all of they just want to climb the mountain.
What kind of like? Can you name a few countries where they come from? So like the foreigners.
Yeah.
What are the countries that they come from?
Can
Can you name a few countries?
Some are from the Europe,
Okay.
and some from the Russian, just like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do people do any other activities here? Do you provide any other activities other than sleeping and then looking at the?
So we just private the mountain trekking. You can trekking from here to the base, the first camp.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first camp, which
first
is
camp is just for the climbing.
how
mountain.
far is it?
Maybe 10 kilometers.
10 kilometers. Okay.
Yeah.
And for that, how much does someone need to pay to, like, how much is it expensive? Is it like?
So I think the climbing mountain, the Chomolungma is expensive.
How much does it cost? Because I know it takes
Maybe
like
10,
90 days to get there.
What?
90 days, but how much does it usually cost? Because
maybe
it's not
10
cheap, I know.
I just said maybe 10,000, $100,000 for each people to climb the mountain.
$100,000
Yes.
to get to the peak, to get to the top of the world.
Yeah, right.
Wow, that's a lot.
Because they wanted to promise a lot of the service, including.
Of course,
Yes,
of course.
Yeah,
Can you show us one of the
yeah
tents,
of course.
please?
Yeah, please follow me.
Sure. So we are going right now inside one of the tents, one of the 48 tents that are provided here for accommodation for visitors who would like to spend the night here before going back to experience other parts of Tingri County or Rakatsa as a city.
Okay,
So-
come in, please.
Okay, let's go in. Oh, it's dark. No, it's good. It's good.
After 58 tents. Yes.
Okay.
They just private accommodation, food, some souvenir, just like this.
And so, how many people can fit here?
Every night, I think is 10 10 to 20 people tourists come to see content here.
Wow. So
Yeah.
this place can accommodate 10 to 20 people.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
One bed is just price is 80 yuan each
okay.
bed.
Oh, okay. So
Mm.
80 yuan per night.
Yeah, right.
Plus
So,
souvenir.
and this sensor is maybe feeling the cold,
Uh-huh.
so they just the stove, just
Uh-huh.
give the stove make the fire.
Actually, it's on, right? Right
Yeah.
now it's-
So in the evening, maybe no, in the evening,
not.
in the evening, they
No.
may be feeling warm, better.
heat coming from somewhere.
Yes. So the tourists can't feeling the headache and other things.
Uh-huh.
Another.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
So if a tourist is feeling a headache because it's such a
Yeah, we
really
have
high
oxygen.
oh,
yeah,
you provide
provide
oxygen mask.
Yes.
Is
right.
there any traditional Tibetan or Chinese
oxygen and some local I think is medicine can
Uh-huh.
provide.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. So you've seen it, and then you see the blankets there, the quilts.
Great. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And another in the back is of the kitchen.
Oh, can we go in?
Yes.
Yeah, we can go in the kitchen. Let's go in the kitchen. Oh, wow. There's still more. Oh my God.
Trying to figure it out.
Okay. How long?
Okay, yeah, it's on now.
Okay. So, sorry for the technical error. We are back from the base camp of Mount Chomolungma here in Tibet Autonomous Region, Southwest China. We're coming to the end of our live stream where we've taken you, where we've given you a exclusive tour. I say exclusive because access here is a luxury for a lot of people, because not a lot of people can either afford physically or even money-wise to come here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream from the closest point a human being who is not a professional climber can reach to see Mount Chomolungma. We've taken you around, we've given you a tour around the camp, we've taken you inside one of the tents, and we've given you a background information about the Tibetan culture and the Tibetan name behind Mount Chomolungma. When is the best time to
visit this mountain to to have a mountain
Right.
climb.
And so right now we come to an end. But I would like to thank our Weibo followers specifically. I also like to thank all of our followers on all platforms, but Weibo followers because they interacted with us so much in one of the posts that we've posted a few days ago, asking them if they were on the top of the world, whom would they think about and what message they would send. And the amount of messages that we got was just unbelievable. Everyone's ideas were worthy of being posted, but sadly we chose only 3 people to post their messages, to help them post their messages to that special someone from the base camp here. However, one thing that caught my attention of all those messages, either in English or in Chinese, is the fact that a lot of them were directed to mothers. And I think
today is Mother's Day.
Today in China is Mother's Day. May 13th is Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Would you like to say something to your mother, and, you know, as a wrap up for this?
I want to thank my mom for giving me birth and giving endless love. So happy Mother's Day, Mom. 母亲节快乐，妈妈，我爱你。
Oh, and even though that in my country we celebrate Mother's Day on April 21st, I know that my mom is watching this live stream, and I would like to tell her that no matter the heights that I reach, you will always, always be my anchor. And as Changjia said to her mother, I love you, Mom. Changjia, Yi Chang, would you like to say anything to your mom?
Yeah, I love my mom too, and yeah, happy Mother's Day for all the mom in the world.
Happy Mother's Day to Chinese mothers and mothers all around the world. This was Nadim and Changjia from CGTN.
And Yi Chang.
Oh, and Yi Chang, of course, Superwoman, reporting from the base camp here at Mount Chomolungma, 5,200 meters above sea level in Tibet Autonomous Region in southwest China. We will see you in our next live from Tibet, so do stay tuned on CGTN and make sure to follow us on CGTN on all our platforms: Weibo, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, what else? LinkedIn, Instagram. Follow us, leave a comment if you have any questions. We will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.